Reporting live from somewhere. Kank. That's right. It's the phrase that pays. Yes, yes, y'all. To the beat, y'all. It must be Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST, and I'm riding high off of whatever I just ate. Got a
some kind of a crisp.
I got a crisp. I enjoy a crisp, Mike Manley.
Fine crisp.
You know me too well, guys. Let's do it. Well, hello, and welcome back to Pencil to Pencil. Not pencil, I pencil. It's pencil T O. I. Your weekly 8 p.m. EST Pinch Me I Must Be Dreaming livecast brought to you on your video scope, free of charge. We don't charge for this. We don't charge. I think some people do charge for this, but no, we don't charge for expert.
We should charge for this. We should charge $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Maybe you're on to something. And this fine broadcast is fueled by Cartoonists sweat. We just ring it. We ring it like Mr. Fusion. We just ring that freelance knitted brow right into
Put a little windshield wiper up here and just ring.
Who was it that who was it that said when they ask you that age-old question, how do you get your ideas? And the guy said, I just stare at the paper until blood starts to drip from my forehead. Guys, let's do some intros. My name is Jamar Nicholas. I wear a lot of hats. This is only one of them. I am the second vice president of the National Cartoonist Society and also the Philadelphia chapter chair. On top of that, I am a graphic novelist. Leon the Extraordinary is my series at Scholastic Graphics. My newest book, Leon and the Big Problem, will be in stores November 3rd. What should they do?
They should November 3rd.
This November 3rd. They should cop it, yes.
It should be copped.
It should be copped. I would be remiss. I would be in remission if I did not introduce my cohort. Right? I practiced this. Conqueso. Co-conquistador. Because Michael wanted it so bad, he loved it so much. I got to bring it back. You know him as that man walking the side of the lonely internet superhighway,
the tinkling man,
with the melodic
tinkling music,
with the melodic tinkle at his back. I love him to death, but don't you ever get him angry, because you would not like him when he is angry. Let's please introduce my good friend, by God, it must be Stone Cold Steve Conley. What's up, Steve Conley?
Gentlemen, it is so good to see you. Look at those countenances. Look at those lovely faces.
I didn't do it this time. Yeah.
My name is Steve Conley. I create your 17th favorite webcomic called The Middle Age, which you know where it is. It's over on the Webtoons. It's on the Tapas. It's on the Go Comics. It's on the steveconley.com. And I make your TTRPG stuff. So when you play the Dungeons and Dragons, you grab your little Steve Conley made source book and you flip to that favorite page of yours. You know the one I'm talking about. And you roll your dice and you have some fun. Now you can find all that at steveconley.com. My latest one is called Wildest Shape. It is over on BackerKit, not on Kickstarter. I know. Ooh. And you can find it there on BackerKit. It's called Wildest Shape. It's also at wildestshape.com. But I would be remiss. I would be criminally negligent if I did not introduce the Tower of Power, the Man of the Hour, Too Sweet to Be Sour, the chilliest of the Conqueso, chili con carne, the chilliest of the con carne, Mr. Mike Manley. You know, he also through your childhood. You know
I'm
that.
So full of con carne. I'm con carned out. I'm art carned. I'm full of art carne, con carne.
I love it.
Hello, everyone. I am Mike Manley, your third co-host with the most time in the seat.
Yeah.
And as I say every week, I probably drew your childhood.
I love it. And I also heard that you like hot butter on your breakfast toast. I don't know if that is true.
It's hot butter.
Guys, we're a little. Well, I can't speak for my co-host, but I can't speak for your other expert cartoonists. But I'm kind of punchy tonight. I'm kind of punchy. I was just telling the guys before we came in here that I've had a pretty long day, and that is also part of the story that we tell as professional expert cartoonists. Every day's a long day when you're in the captain's chair.
The longest.
But it is a long. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I tell people like, oh well, yeah, I kind of sit in this chair like 15, 16 hours a day, something like that. Whatever. I never do the math, but it's a long time. And they're just like, what? But do you guys like actively think about it? I know like now that we're getting older, you kind of need to get up and walk around a little bit, but like, do you clock your time in the chair or do you just work until you got to get up or fall asleep in it?
How do you take that, Mike?
My
Right?
time in the chair is what it has to be.
That's such a Gandalf answer, Mike.
Right? What it has to be. Frodo Nicholas.
Frogert Nicholas.
Froger's Nicholas. Yeah, I mean it's if I worked 8 hours a day,
Right.
that would feel like I didn't work. It would feel like it was so light compared to. So yeah, I mean, when I had my bypass just 2 years ago now, when I came back, I could only work about 4 hours and I'd have to take a break.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm not pulling all-nighters, but it was pretty tight with the deadlines this week. So it's like 10 hours a day, 10, 12 hours a day is pretty standard, I think.
Right.
Like you get up, I usually do my social media in the morning, have my coffee, or like yesterday and today, yesterday I went to bed at 1:30.
That's early for you, Mike.
And then I got up at 4:30 because I had to finish the judge to get the judge in because the judge's really tight this week. So I had to get up and finish the last 3 dailies to get that in by 10:30.
So you had a hard deadline in the middle of the morning. So I
sent them part yesterday, so they had stuff to get out, and then I got up and I had laid them out, but then I had to ink them and letter it and send it, so they had it like by 10 o'clock, so they gave them plenty of time to process it and get it out to the clients. So then let's see. So then I ate, chilled a little bit, took a slight nap, and then I was working right up again on the next week, right up until we went on. So, and when we're done, I'll go right back. So, I'll probably knock off midnightish 1. So yeah, I don't pull all-nighters anymore, but sometimes you have to crunch.
Yeah.
It's
just to midnight. Just to midnight, not like the idea that's even like, well, I'll call it at midnight. That's not late. It seems like such a cartoonist answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's like whatever it takes. I mean, that's the rule. Like people ask you, it's like the people who ask you, like, where do you get your ideas? Or, it's not about the hours. It's about what has to get done. So if it takes you 4 hours or it takes you 8 hours, that all that matters is you meet your deadline.
I think one thing that was always funny in my relationship would be like my girl would be like, who are you talking to? It's like 11 o'clock at night. Who are you on the phone with? I'm like, we're all up. Like, this is like prime prime hour. Like, who are you calling on the phone at 2 in the morning? You know, like it's just kind of what. And I don't know if you would kind of like look at that as like a cartoonist circadian rhythm type of thing, but it's very rare to me when we were younger, at least, to know anybody that would like go to bed early. Like
Mhm.
everybody would be up late. Steve, what about you?
I have made a point in recent years to be better about spending more time with my partner. That
Mm.
I think for the most of my life, I was absolutely head down working Schroeder all the time. I was
I
always
like a Schrodering. I like that.
You had the Schroeder back. Oh.
yeah, just work, because itching to get these ideas out, and I wouldn't bring an iPad to the movie theater and keep
Right.
working, but I mean, I kind of would work as much as I possibly could. And very few people outside of what we do work those kind of schedules. So to synchronize your life with someone else in who's not in the game, I don't know what you want to
Right.
call it, not in the biz.
Right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. I've taken to I've taken to at times dismantling my computer and bringing it into the living room so I can spend time, but also get some books designed, things like that. It's like you just do your best to balance those two things. So that's basically it. But then it's still like she'll go to sleep and I'll be up for a few more hours working because there's like a perfect time. You just start writing at a certain time and you just can't stop.
Mhm.
Or you get this idea in your head and you just have to draw it.
Well,
So I don't know. I've enjoyed the flexibility of it all, but I wouldn't say it's structured in any way.
one of the things that I kind of just talked about this. One of the things I did today is I went back to my old college that I worked at, and one of the professors that I've been friends with for since I've been there. Every couple of years, she would ask me to come and talk to her entrepreneurship class. Now, I would be the last person to say that I'm an entrepreneur of any sort, but it's kind of like we led up to the beginning of the show. It's like we all kind of do this thing that not a lot of people do,
Right.
and you do it at a high level enough to say like, oh shit, that's the guy that does that thing, right? So my conversations are always really interesting with the classes, and they were really into it. And I was a little rusty. I haven't done this in like 5 years doing this lecture, and I had a lot of new slides to add, which was really cool. But one of the students asked me about kind of like, is was there ever a point where you felt like, well, maybe this isn't what I should be doing, and I should, because that period where you're that age where you're just kind of like, I don't know, this could go either way, right? This could go sideways. A strong wind could blow you in a totally different direction. But I was like, no, I had a compulsion to
Right.
do this, and it didn't. And we've talked about this in our personality session, that there's nothing that anyone could have said to me that would have made me not be a cartoonist.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
never had that. I never had the waiver after I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I was not like, oh, I guess I'll go and, be a veterinarian or a psychoanalyst or no, I just was going to do this, do or die. Doesn't matter.
There was a quote I heard. Michael Sheen, the actor, said, "If he weren't, he still told me almost, if I weren't an actor, I'd be a frustrated actor." And I feel like about cartooning. If I weren't a cartoonist, I'd be a frustrated cartoonist. There was no other path.
I love it. I think that that's kind of where we all are. And I remember trying to explain to somebody once when, it's kind of like those salad days where you had to kind of like make people believe what you did is very D&D. I disbelieve it. I disbelieve you're a real cartoonist that gets paid money. And I don't feel that way anymore, but I remember having to like really kind of grind down and kind of like, no, this is a thing. This is not a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
The compulsion part kind of, which sounds kind of sick, but like you just said it a second ago, Steve, like you eat sleep, breathe this stuff.
Right.
And a break is because you probably have to just go rest, not that you're like, oh, I want to go do something else.
You have a legitimate fever.
Well, a fever that causes visual distortions, it means that you don't work.
I don't want to sweat on the page. I can't
No.
Yeah.
So is there something, I don't want to kind of turn this into a funky conversation, but is that normal? I mean, health, I mean, right, because it's not a job. It's not even a career. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
It really is. It really is a lifestyle. You couldn't ask anybody else, hey, can you in a year draw 270 pages of a thing? And they're like, you out of your mind?
If you didn't do Leon, no one could. There's not someone else who can, you can't, no one can take that spot from you. That's there's no one can take your shift. So
I'll call it out. You punch me in.
You're going in the Wawa tonight to make sandwiches. You're gonna make some Leon sandwiches. Oh, sorry. Got a substitute Leon sandwich maker.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's you're stuck. You have created a problem that only you can solve.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And the thing is that 99% of the time we don't even think about it because you're doing it, right? People from the outside looking and go like, how did you do that? But you're in it, you're doing it. And when you're doing it, you don't tend to think about things like that. You're just thinking about like, I've got so much I have to do today, or I have this project, or I have this drawing, I've got this problem I want to solve. And that's taking up all your time, all your energy, all your passion. And it's the same way with I think any artistic endeavor, whether it's drawing a comic book or painting or sculpting or playing music, I don't think, a person who's playing a guitar or, maybe with performing, there's a certain amount of energy, where then you have to rest. And it's the same way with drawing, because you have to have the ability or develop the ability to have long time focused conversation. You've got to really concentrate on what you're doing for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And some people that's difficult, whether, you've got juvenile ADHD or adult onset ADHD, which I hear like there's all these people now getting diagnosed with that. But if you can't sit still,
you got the Jimmy legs.
You got Jimmy legs, and you don't enjoy it. I mean, that's the thing.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, you have to enjoy it on a deep level, because if you don't, you'll stop. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a deadline, you'll blow it. I mean, there's a lot of people that blow deadlines, right? Like they like it, but they just don't have that ability to focus for those long periods of time. I think it's kind of like a natural thing. I think for this kind of a job, it would be like if you were a musician, but you had stage fright. Mm-hmm. Then you could never go on. You couldn't even go on the pub and play because you wouldn't want people to, to watch you play. You couldn't go up. Was it Andy Partridge, the guy from XTC, started developing stage fright, and so they stopped performing live.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of performers have that,
Mm-hmm. Well, isn't that one of those things where they say, like, if you don't get nervous, then you're over it. Like the energy of performing or going out there or whatever kind of keeps you alive. You know what I mean? Like you should be nervous in a way. Not to say you can't perform, but you're like, all right, guys, you ready? We're gonna nail it this time. That's interesting. I have a thing here. All right, I got to do the song. America, this is you.
Oh,
Tom Zoller.
I thought you were going to say something else. America.
TZ, you know Tom Zoller. The Tom Zoller says everything is a little unhealthy. I'm not at a job that's eating my soul somewhere with ties and fluorescent lighting. But I spend way more time and energy on this art thing. Yes. And, I think that's really one of the things that a lot of kind of normies, muggles, civilians, whatever you want to call, kind of don't understand about us. It's kind of like, well, aren't you done yet? Can't you, whatever, can't you put it down? And there's something else there that is not like a normal job.
But I never wanted I never wanted a normal job. When I was 19, I told the story before. When I was 19, there was an ad in the paper. They were looking for someone to work in an ad agency. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I didn't go to the company that was hiring and vetting people for the ad agency. What I did is I called all the ad agencies in the area until I found out the one that hired that place. And I went right there and I got the job.
Yeah.
But what I found out right away was that I didn't like going into the ad agency and I didn't like the atmosphere. Now, some of my coworkers are really cool people, but that whole advertising thing is full of fucking assholes. And they can pay you good. But I realized then that I did not want to work in an office. I did not want that kind of job. This is the kind of job that I wanted, right? So now maybe if you don't have a passion that allows you to work independently, some people just want to go punch a clock, get their check, grab a beer on the way home, play sports on the weekend, or drive their big dune buggy or whatever the fuck, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's not
right.
Specifically, that is not what I wanted.
This channel isn't expressly anti-dune buggy.
I did not want to have Wheelie in the Chopper Bunch.
So this will be a perfect time to do the intro. Guys, we've had some may say a murderer's row of guests lately. I think the last 2 years we've been crushing it here on Pencil to Pencil. If anybody doesn't believe that, fight me. I think we've been really kind of just hitting it out of the park. We had Steve Rude a couple weeks ago. What a fantastic show. And even last week was a banger, as we say. Don Simpson. 2 weeks ago, we had 2 weeks of Don Simpson, and that was great. And as I've said before, for people who aren't really kind of sure what's going on here, or say things like, "Wow, how'd you get this guy?" Like, come on, bro. Three expert cartoonists. Give us some credit here. But I always say the show is just as good sans guests, because that's what 3 expert cartoonists do. We walk into the space and glow. So tonight we get to shine for you. Tonight you get to ask the cartoonists. I need some music there.
Shining up for the cartoonists.
So tonight, dear viewers who are watching us live,
dear heart,
is where you guys get to ask us some questions. Now, I checked our community chat on YouTube, and our good buddy Joe had a lot of questions that he asked like 3 weeks ago, and I never look at those things. I don't get a notification. It's like, oh, somebody left a comment. And it was like question. I was like, oh, dude, come on the show and ask that this week. So if you have a good cartooning question for your 3 expert cartoonists, let them rip. Thank you so much. And now I guess we kind of like just sit on our hands.
Now everybody's like, no, you ask them. Go ahead.
No, you
ask them.
Well, before we came on, we were talking about I had moved over my crowdfunding after 14 years and 12 successful projects from Kickstarter to BackerKit.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Mike was asking me why I was doing that. And it was because BackerKit prohibits AI on their platform. That's basically what it comes down to. They're much later to the crowdfunding game. They don't have the same user numbers as Kickstarter does, but I feel like I'm a better fit there. I feel like they like comics. They have wonderful comics crowdfunding campaigns. They've got wonderful role-playing game crowdfunding campaigns. They've got events just like Kickstarter does, but I just felt it was a better place for me to be there until Kickstarter sorts out prohibiting that stuff, or at least letting users filter that stuff out of their search results, preferably by default. I figured BackerKit's where I need to be. So we'll see how it goes. And the campaign launched on Monday. It's not doing badly. I'm really happy with it.
Are you? Because I know you're a big like grid and statistics dude. So are you kind of like pushing the abacus around, trying to see like what your day one things are versus this on BackerKit and Kickstarter? Like, give us some metrics. I want to hear it.
Well, a few things. I've done something differently here, which I would never have done before. I'm still delivering. I'm still illustrating and assembling my previous crowdfunding campaign. Normally, I would never have two things overlap. The first book is out the door. The previous project is out the door before I start the new one. But February is always this is on the TTRPG, the role-playing game side of things. February is always Zine month. On Kickstarter, that's Zine Quest. On BackerKit, that's Zinetopia. A Kickstarter lets you start your February zine event any day in February. You got 28 days to choose from. I agreed to move over to. I made this call. I'm going to move over to BackerKit, and I'll do their Zinetopia event. I signed up for it, and after I signed up for it, they said, "Okay, everyone, be ready to launch on February 2nd. We're all launching at the same time." And I found myself like, "Ooh." I would rather have had 3 more weeks to get the previous project out, let everybody get the cool stuff from my last campaign. They're going to. The hope is to have that kind of momentum from one campaign to the next, where they get the thing that they ordered. It's awesome, and they go, "Okay, what can I get next?" And hopefully they just jump onto the next project, and you just keep doing that. Because Zinetopia was all starting on Monday, the 2nd. I'm like, I had to quickly put the cover together. I'd been working on it for a while. It's been on the one of the many burners. Put that together, put the campaign page together, and launch it. So I didn't have the kind of lead up to it as I normally would. So it's hard to compare. It's apples and oranges a little bit. It's not exactly apples to apples. So I will say that the new campaign is getting more in the first 2 days of its campaign than my last one did over on Kickstarter. Number of backers. It's raising if you look at it, you'll think he's not making as much money as he made over on Kickstarter. That has something to do with how I structured this campaign. I don't have a lot of my supporters come from project to project to project. So they're not going to be adding a lot of stuff to their pledges because they already have all my old books, right? They've got everything I've done before. It's like coming to a convention. What's new? If you don't bring something new to a convention, your fans don't have anything to buy from you. Mm-hmm. Similarly, crowdfunding is the same. And I didn't really have high ticket rewards. There wasn't like with Nibblemancy, the cooking and baking one. I think I showed on the stream. I made an apron. This artwork was on an apron that you could add to your order. So when you're baking, you could be sporting that wizard.
Wow, okay, all right.
Those sorts of things that you add to your campaign they turn a single pledge from a backer. It goes from being $5 for a PDF or $15 for a zine up to $70 because they're getting books and miniatures and an apron. And suddenly you're like, wow, how did Steve make $15,000 off of this one project? Right. This one it's got smaller, lower level tiers, more affordable. And I don't know. I so far I'm really excited. Numbers wise, it looks good. I think we're on track I'd like to have us hit 400 backers. I'll saying that now. I think we're at 168. I'd like us to be at 400 when it's over. That would make me very, very, very happy. Wildestshape.com.
Do you have like a handle on how many people kind of like go from you finding some new people? Because I'm sure you recognize some of the names that are on your campaign. Like, this person's new, or you kind of develop some new people.
Yeah, I think Don Simpson talked about that last week. He said, like, because Kickstarter has an app. And so when you get a pledge, your phone will light up like a text message. And during a Kickstarter campaign, you've got one eyeball on your phone the whole time. And it's like this pulse of like, oh, there's another pledge. Oh, there's another pledge. Or, oh, that's a text from my family member. Ugh. And you, you chuck your phone away. I was hoping that was money. And but BackerKit doesn't have an app. So it feels less stressful to me. But yes, you recognize the names. Like if if I see a name, I'm like, I might know who that is. Oh, they're a Patreon supporter, or they've backed my 4 previous books or something like that. I don't have so huge an audience. I don't have such a large audience that I've lost. I have lost track of people, but also I will say BackerKit does something lovely when you're in their pledge manager. Upper right, you can click if a person's pledged on other projects of yours, a drop down will show the other things they've pledged for. So when I'm writing my note to somebody, sending them their stuff, thank you for backing this. Oh, and also thank you for backing my, this one and this one. The idea that someone's calling back and thanking you for things you've done in the past, I feel like that adds additional resonance to the message, additional appreciation. And that's something I do when I mail out all my Kickstarter or crowdfunding rewards, is I include a personalized note to each person. So
is your note, Conley 316 says, thanks for backing my Kickstarter, my crowdfund.
I know it's usually along the lines of, thank you so much for your pledge. I really hope you love the books, and then it's hand signed. And if the next Kickstarter is in the works, I include the URL at the bottom. And by the way, you can check out my new one. So hopefully keep that thing rolling.
Steve, you have a question. America's Tom Zoller says, Steve, did you use your Kickstarter list to email people about BackerKit? Is it like going on channel 3 to say, see me on channel 6?
A little bit. BackerKit has a feature called BackerKit Launch, which a lot of people use. I feel it's a touch impersonal, but if you have a mailing list, that's better than BackerKit's Launch. BackerKit has got multiple components. First of all, let me just say this. It's got their launch section, which is a way of importing your Kickstarter backers and previous BackerKit backers into their system and emailing them through BackerKit. So if you don't even have a mailing list, they're kind of helping you put one together, and everyone should have a mailing list. So the idea that they make it a one button, clickable thing, you basically link to your Kickstarter, it pulls all those addresses in and lets you send to those people. That helps a lot of cartoonists. A lot of TTRPG people and cartoonists I've talked to use that service. It costs $100 to use it. It's like a one-time fee. It also does certain things like you can mail your backers, mail your supporters, your list, or prior backers. How about that? You can mail your prior backers, but it won't mail them if they've already pledged to your campaign. So if a person has pledged, you're not still sending them messages. It feels like, okay, that will reduce the amount of spam going out into the world. So they've got the launch function, which is great. And that's kind of touches on what Tom was asking. But they also have what BackerKit was known for, which was the pledge manager. So after your Kickstarter campaign was over, you would send people to BackerKit to offer them additional things. Hey, on your way out, will you answer these questions? What size T-shirt do you want? And also, would you like to add a few more things to your pledge? And if people didn't charge for shipping over on Kickstarter and they were going to pay for it on BackerKit, now that person already has their credit card out and they're only going to pay for shipping, they might as well get a set of pins. They might as well get your apron or whatever.
So they're like that's like your exit through the gift shop moment.
Exactly, 100%. And so that part of it, I've been using the pledge manager of BackerKit for years, 5 years maybe. And that's how BackerKit got its start. But as Kickstarter was adding pledge management to their platform, BackerKit added crowdfunding to their platform. You can still use them to some degree back and forth, but you can promote your Kickstarter campaign using Launch, and you can use pledge management on BackerKit to support your Kickstarter. So it's a interesting blending of the two sites. But I moved over to BackerKit because they expressly prohibit AI slop on their platform.
Yeah, there was a lot of anti AI stuff in the last couple of days on social media, because I guess there was a new thing where people were using AI to make like some kind of like self-portrait thing.
Oh, like kind of like a Facebook challenge type of thing, right?
Yeah. And so I saw a couple people in my feed who did that, and I just plonked them. I think we have to be very staunchly anti-AI now, because I think if you give them anything, it's going to be really bad for you in the long run. I saw some students were complaining that some of the local colleges were doing that too, were doing AI stuff, and I'm thinking, like, how can a college, an art school, be anything but anti-AI? That's sort of like sawing your legs off. But I guess, they're like, people like, hey, I hear this AI thing is really cool, so we got to do cool stuff, right? So,
yeah, I think a lot of the higher education people are looking at something they can now try to get a course out of. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, this is bleeding edge. We'll teach you
Right.
how to we'll teach you how to AI.
Yeah, we'll teach you how to prompt.
Right. It's just like, like when people talked about coding, like you get a nice big vertical monitor and you get the code like on the Facebook guy or something like that. And I don't see that stopping, but I think they're looking at it as this is a new portal for where students are going to be not even interested, but just kind of like, this is what is happening. So maybe my kid needs to go into this. And they're not rebuking it at all. I think it's the opposite. They're embracing it.
And I'm sure, I haven't looked at Indeed in a while, but I'm sure a lot of jobs now are going to say that you have to have some AI skill if you're going to be. The HR just knows to add that to the list of requirements. You have to be, they always put this wish list of this imaginary candidate they want, and they're going to start adding that just because they've heard it. It's the AI is important, right? And they're looking around, sure, just put it on the requirement list. And
right?
Yeah.
When I hear Indeed, I always hear it in Dr. Smith's voice. Indeed.
Robots.
I did. It was an anecdote I saw on one of the socials, which was that I think it was a university setting where the art teacher said it's okay to use AI for the writing part, because that's and the English department was like, you can use AI for the art. It was like their stuff, that what they do is important, and the other stuff is just a hurdle you have to jump over, or a hoop you have to jump through. It's the other part of it is the technical part. My stuff's art. So
I really don't understand why. I can understand why a hobbyist would use it to create their mock Alex Ross cover with their favorite characters, right?
Yeah.
I cannot understand why a really passionate, creative person would want to use something like that, because you don't ever have, that's not your skill. It's like, part of practicing, part of suffering, part of growing is, when you get to that next level of your art, you feel good about it. Like, oh, I mastered perspective, or look at the way I drew that figure. I didn't, a year ago, I couldn't have drawn a figure like, or I did this background, or I do this really cool character. It's like, I remember those like milestones as I came up as an artist, and you feel good when you get to that next, because to me, the whole thing was, I have all my art heroes, and I wanted to be able to be as good as, Frazetta or Kirby or Adams or Buscema or Mobius, or, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to sit down at my table and get my, my sheet of paper out and do a drawing of Conan that was as cool as Frazetta or Buscema or whoever's your favorite was. I wanted that ability, right?
Yeah,
And
there is something so satisfying and so much fun about making art. The idea that if someone came in the room and said, "Hey, I've got a machine that'll do that for you," I would curse them out. Get that out of here. The point of it's like taking kids who are playing in a sandbox or coloring or doing anything and saying, hey, put all that down. I got a machine that'll do that for you. They're like, I'm having fun. So there's that I don't know. I'm offended by the concept but I understand why that to some people it has uses, but ultimately it boils down to that it's there to make money. It's there, but the hypocritical part is like over on Kickstarter, like when someone is using that in their crowdfunding campaign, but they're basically making a declaration: I didn't want to spend money to make this. Please give me money for it.
Right.
It's so hypocritical.
Right. And, and I was thinking today, there are artists. I can think of two guys as an example, Rich Buckler and Dan Atkins, who had fairly long careers. And both those guys were swipe artists. They used a lot of swipe to make their comics. And when I started buying Marvels in the mid 70s, Rich Buckler was drawing the Fantastic Four, and he was doing it in his faux Kirby style, which was sanctioned by Marvel, right? Mm-hmm. And he was actually swiping a lot of old Jack Kirby stuff, a figure here, a little thing here, and then they got Joe Sinnott to ink it, so it kept that classic Marvel look. But he was sanctioned,
right,
to swipe old Marvel art, Kirby art, and he swiped a lot of people. Sometimes he'd swipe Neil Adams or whatever. Now, he made his living, and there's certain guys you can't swipe. Like you can't swipe Kirby, you can't swipe Neil Adams, you can't swipe Gil Kane. There's a lot of guys you can't swipe because their work is too idiosyncratic. So I know that cool back shot, I knew that cool shot there, right? And but at least if you swiped in that old you had to have a pretty good knowledge of somebody's work, right? So that you could go and take all those various figures and recompose it and make it work.
Right.
Right. That's still not as blatant as what AI does.
Oh, no. Yeah. No. No, again, one of the things is even when Rich Buckler's got his copy of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way and a sheet of tracing paper on top of it, he's still going to get the result specifically that he's trying to go for. He's not asking it, give me something sort of like, kind of like, maybe sort of ish, and give me 4 of them and I'll choose one. It's right. Like it's AI won't give you the same thing twice. And one of the things we're working on is how to get better and better and better. And that's an improvement that has a trajectory. It's not kind of a scattershot thing of maybe it's like this, maybe it's like that. It's like, oh, suddenly it's, it's just a different thing. Anyone who's comparing it to education or comparing it to tracing or learning from other artists is just talking.
There's no learning.
Yeah, they're just talking out their butt. Yeah.
There's no learning. Right.
Yeah, it's excuse. They're making excuses. They're not or rationale. How about that? And I saw America's Tom Zoller's note about, to be honest, I'm here to make money too. Absolutely. But it's a line from Citizen Kane where he says it's easy to make money if all you want to do is make money. And then you're in the wrong profession.
Well, there's making a living.
Historically speaking, either you're in the wrong profession or the wrong era.
Well, I guess, I've talked about this before. I wanted to have the ability to create work like the artists that I admired. And I figured that when you develop that ability, then you would be able to get work. People would like your work. You'd be able to get better jobs, right? And so whatever money you made would directly come from your ability, right? It's like having a beautiful singing voice.
Yeah.
Right. You get gigs because you sound great. Right.
Yeah.
But I talked about this before, like I'm sure I could take my Skull Kid stuff and feed it in there, and I could make it look like a Rankin Bass kind of puppet thing, but I know that I can't do that and make stuff because it would be stealing from other artists. And so morally, I couldn't do something like that if I knew, on top of the environmental, that's like a whole other. So say you're just a selfish bastard and you don't care about the environment, right? But I could not morally do it if I knew that it was stealing collectively from all my fellow creatives. And I don't think there's any way to justify that. I think you're just a selfish bastard, And you don't see anybody go like, well, I'm a selfish bastard. That's why I'm doing it, but, and people love to hop on trends, right? I think that's the other insidious part of this, is that there's all this art I see now where it's that faux sort of started out like a faux Miyazaki thing. Mm-hmm. You see all these, there's that art cartooning style you see everybody doing now. It's kind of round and everybody has the big eyes.
It's a little Muppety. It's a little Miyazaki-ish.
Yeah. And I see everybody doing that. Now, if you're 15, you don't fucking know shit, right? You're just doing this because everybody else is doing it, and your friend Joe did it, and Sally did it. So you're just doing that thing. But I think if you're a grown ass adult, do you know how the world works? Right from wrong. There's no way to excuse it. There just isn't, And we can see almost every week, there's some story. Well, just what Adobe did with getting rid of Adobe Animate. These big corporations are not our allies, so we're always fighting against a fire hose in some way from social media and whatever. And I think that if you really want the skill, there's only one way to get it, and you have to be willing to work at it. And if you don't really enjoy it, you won't get it with AI either. You'll just get bored with it eventually. It's like, oh, I can make all this fake Alex Ross or whatever stuff. You're not going to be doing that 5 years from now. You know what I mean? You're not going to make anything that people are going to get excited about. It's like this is the weird novelty part, right? Where it's getting better and better and better and better, and it can do some pretty high level stuff now, right? It can fix the fingers. But I think
finger fixer.
Are people going to want to, read a AI generated graphic novel that looks like some faux Alex Ross thing and be as excited about Alex Ross? I don't know.
There's the speaking of Adobe and the AI thing, I recently got a resubscription notification from them where they were changing their rate. They're going to increase it $10 a month or something like that.
Yeah,
but there is a version, and one of the justifications for it was it includes unlimited AI credits. And so I'm like, okay, I can't cancel it. I need my InDesign. I know I'm an addict. I need this suite of products. I'm just used to After Effects and InDesign and Photoshop. If I didn't use so many of them regularly, but there's a plan that they have that they don't really advertise, but it is $5 cheaper than what I was paying, and it has no AI in it. So you can go into their thing and it's $54.99 instead of the new one, which is like $69.99. And you can just have exactly the same buffet of software, but no AI. So
it's like, I don't want any hot peppers on my hoagie is kind of
yeah. If you could not sprinkle poison on my food, that'd be great.
You don't put rat poison on my hoagie, please.
Well, everybody, all the companies are so heavily leveraged and investing so much money. They're trying to choke it down your throat every second of every day. They're trying to normalize it. They're trying to mainstream it.
The AI pepper mill coming around.
Exactly. Yeah. More AI, sir? No, that's enough. No, sure, you don't want any more AI, sir? You're just like completely covered with AI,
It's like the Olive Garden cheese guy, right?
Right, yeah, and then you go outside and everything's a desert because it's sucked up all the water in the atmosphere. But yeah, no, and I feel it's harder for younger people than it is for me. For a couple of reasons. One, I built my skill because there was only one way. Either you built it or you didn't have it. There was no ability to make anything cool or that looked. I couldn't make a Star Wars fan fiction with film with prompts. That just didn't exist, right? Yeah. So I couldn't even tickle any, interest in anything like that. I think it maybe we have to go through a really negative time, and then maybe eventually some kid who'll be born in 10 years will not want to use AI, because it seems like we kind of do this. We kind of go up, we kind of go down, we kind of go up, we kind of go down. So maybe if it becomes everything, like all those cartoons you see, everybody's doing that AI cartoon thing. It all looks like it's drawn by the same person. It's that same generic style, right?
That's actually built into the ad creation back end of Facebook's ad manager. You have to turn off it cartoonifying your stuff or animating your stuff or altering. If you I've uploaded my covers to run ads on Facebook and it will turn this into what looks like a photograph of a man holding a spoon, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And it's not my book. It's not my product. So you have to turn that off. So you'll see that on Facebook a lot, but it's not that the people doing it, it's because that is the default setting. You have to, if you see an ad that isn't that, they've had to take steps to disable it.
Guys, they keep taking my photos, and I'll see it on my phone. I'll go on and you see your stories, and they'll be like one of me AI or one of Fetchin or something was turned into AI, and it's like, hey, you want to use the AI thing? And I'm like, no.
Yeah. So let's get to some questions, because that's what this is, right? It's Ask the Cart. Wait, what is it? It's right. Let's ask some cartoonists some questions. There's one on the AI tip from our man Paul Pate. Where is it? I've been kind of loading these up, you guys. We got a couple of them. Give me 1 second. Where is it going? Paul Pate, what up, Paul Pate? Paul Pate says, I think the analogy to learning is that AI learns from looking at existing art. And people do that too. So, playing devil's advocate, if people do it, what is wrong with it? For your information, I don't support AI at all.
That's a false analogy, I think, a false equivalence, because I can look at a painting or I can look at a drawing. That means I have no idea how it's made. I have no idea about the process. I have no idea about the amount of time or the amount of effort that goes into it, right? So I think the thing is when you draw or you paint or you create, you also you enrich yourself on different levels. You enrich yourself on the one level by experiencing and enjoying a nice piece of art. But when you draw, you also experience the pleasure of creation, and maybe you enjoy that art on a different level. You know what I mean? It's like if everybody could walk in and lift the barbell up over their head, dun, 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 everybody can do that. Well, it's not really remarkable, So, if you built a cabinet, right? If you built something, you built a house, you would have an appreciation of building things that you wouldn't have any other way, right? If you it's the same way with any endeavor, whether it's sports or any creation, anything where you test yourself against your limit and you find yourself lacking, and then you have to build up. You appreciate something, you appreciate your effort, and you're proud of your effort, but you also understand the other person's effort.
Yeah, and I also think the distinction is that one's a person. You can't comparing the two things, but like if AI doesn't learn as much as it assembles data and then based on an algorithm spits something out the way Google would.
There's no judgment.
Yeah, it's not. There's no judgment. There's no aesthetic involved. There's no personality. Any personality you see in a piece of artwork that came from that was a stolen personality. Or it's seeing something in a cloud. It is your imagination filling in the details.
They're like, do you like it blue? Do you like? Well, make it more blue. Make it more. Yeah. It's not judging. It's not thinking. It's only.
And what it's really learning from is because once it's absorbed all the data, and now it starts absorbing iterations of itself as new AI platforms start scraping other existing AI generated content. It's really learning when it shows you 4 choices. That's part of its learning. You ask for something and your prompt is not unique. I'm sorry, people out there, your prompt is not unique. It's been asked before and it's generated other variations for people, and it's delivering you the ones that they've selected or something very similar to what they've selected. You clicking on, give me a high-res version of that, give me a high-res version of that, give me more iterations of this. That's the learning part. That's the machine learning part. Not just the part they showed you, and not just the part they stole or and there's a really good point someone made on the chat, forgive me, where they said that currently streaming uses more energy. The energy argument is, as I talk through a device made by children somewhere, I'm like, I'm not, this is not a holier than thou condemnation. We're forced to compromise in some way. It's more like its problems are not exclusively to the amount of energy it uses or that it's stealing. If you created a system that was, these problems that I have with it would exist even if it's sourcing your own material. If Jim Davis just imported all his own Garfield and started spinning out new Garfields, and if he found a way to do it with a cold fusion thing on his desk, it costs solar powered. My problems with it would still be exactly the same.
Kyle Reese said it best. It doesn't feel pain or pity or remorse.
Does it look itself in the mirror?
It will not stop until you're dead. I love the Terminator. Guys, let's move on. This isn't the AI show. It's Ask the Cartoonist.
Yeah.
So how about this? Our good buddy Ray Anthony Height, an MVP of Pencil to Pencil, asks, I would love to know a little origin story. I would love to know how Pencil to Pencil started and how you all met. Not sure I've heard that story. Mike, you want to spin us on a little road trip real quick for Pencil to Pencil, maybe in general, then we could go into other parts.
Well, Pencil to Pencil started because I stopped the magazine draw, but I still, and I this is when podcasting was starting, like 6-7 years ago, and I realized that the next generation of people coming up didn't like to read, and they liked seeing videos. And since this is we're visually literate people, and I think coming from teaching, it's really good to be able to show something live and have a live discussion. As much as it was fun to interview people in the magazine, there's that back and forth. So if we have Don on or Steve or any of the multiple guests we have on, I have my questions, things that I want to know, but I know the fans also have their questions. So I decided that it would be a great thing to do the podcast. Is basically with the mission statement that I had for the magazine. And I met Jamar at an old, what we used to call it Scratchy Con, an old local comic books
like a hotel vendor show type of
it was at an old Holiday Inn down by the airport. And I met Steve online back when he was doing comiccon.com around 1999, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, we launched in 98.
Yeah. So that's how I met Steve.
That's crazy. And look at these kindred spirits, right? So, but also don't forget some of our lore here, Mike. So once we kind of got Pencil to Pencil started, it first was an audio only podcast,
right?
And I think probably on the Pencil to Pencil website you can still find some of those episodes. And I think we're on iTunes, and then we got corrupted, and there was a thing. There's always a thing. But we had probably like 15, 20 interviews just in audio before we started video.
Yeah. And then what I was doing is I bought an editing software, and then I was going through and editing the videos, because I also was doing it on Skype. I would record stuff on Skype, which was always a pain in the ass, because depending upon where people were in the country, sometimes the audio was good, and then sometimes the audio was like, there was a couple episodes that never aired because the audio was just terrible.
It was just dog water. And then we kind of pushed into video. I think the first thing was when Facebook started the option of letting you go live.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, we could just press record and just be on here. And you remember the early parts of that where people were just kind of using that stuff for evil and not good? Like there'd be people's lives of them like at the mall, like, yo, I'm at the Sephora, y'all, yo. Like, what do you get off of here? We got business to get done. So we first we did Facebook Live, and then we picked up the StreamYard service, and that's when we're able to point this in different directions. So that's when the YouTube happened. So there, at one point before Facebook started eating all of our old videos, there were things that were on Facebook that weren't on the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel was second; it wasn't the first. Yeah. And we're just gonna have to interview people over again. We're gonna have to have Walt and Weezy back on, because I think that's going. Or I might have recorded. I might have it in a file, but we should do it. So there you go.
Yeah, and at some point, I'm sure. Well, Netflix is getting into doing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I'm sure YouTube will eat all of our videos. It's just inevitable that they will be destroyed in some fashion. They will say, well, either you got to pay us, $900 a month, or your shit is gone. Because that just seems to be the way everything works. People hop a platform. The platform's kind of hot and stable for a while. Then something happens. Some billionaire does some shit, and then everything goes away.
And the first three hosts of Pencil to Pencil were Jamar, Mike, and Brett Blevins. I'm still just keeping his seat warm till he comes back.
Shout out to Blev. Yeah. And I just think all of this really works also because we're all friends. And, also that's the expert part. Like, we all have a different kind of way into the side of the mountain where comics is. And we all kind of, have our different take on it. So I think that's what makes us special. Also, the production. Can we give a shout out to Steve Conley? Even before Steve was the third host, he's the guy that designed the logo. He's the guy that designed the pencil to pencils. He's always been the sixth man.
I gave him a sketch.
Oh,
He
okay.
made the sketch look beautiful.
All right, there you
Yeah.
go. All right, he hit the alley oop. I love
Part of the thing I learned from doing the magazine, because in the beginning I was doing everything myself. I was using cork and everything. As eventually is you learn to, you have an idea and you want to do something, and then if there's somebody who does it better than you, get them to do it. Ask them to do it. Right. And Steve is a really good designer. So I thought, well, I had the idea what I wanted for the logo, and I sent him a sketch, and then he made it look beautiful. And then you had an intern who took it and made the.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the animations, like the scribble ones. Yeah, my intern one summer did some animation, and just upped our production value. Look at that! You could see us all. We're all well lit. We're not on somebody's couch eating Funyuns while we're doing this. This is pro. This is pro stuff. Expect nothing less from your three expert cartoonists. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ray. What a great
Funyuns off my shirt before we go on every time.
Suck your guts, gentlemen. We're the Ghostbusters. All right, let's get another question in here before we run out of time. Yeah, what up, Jim Luhan? Jim Luhan says, question, do you ever work on your projects away from your studio? Example, coffee shops, parks, saunas, onsens, hot rock, natural springs. Steve, how about you?
Oh yeah. I for my comics, I would draw them. Almost all of it's on an iPad, so I've drawn them everywhere on flights, in airports. In coffee shops is my preferred location. Just find a corner somewhere that's doesn't have direct sunlight, and I can have some coffee and get a lot of drawing done. Usually earbuds in, listen to music, and away from distractions, and a lot of work outside the studio.
What about you, Mike? What about you? And at some point, like your house is home base. You're never really up at the Panera Bread working on pages, were you?
No, I mean there was maybe about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago. Well, before I went digital, sometimes I would sit with a lap board on my sofa downstairs and watch TV and draw the Judge. But no, I do everything here. If I'm not in here working, if I was going out to like plein air paint, then I would be doing something completely different. But now that I work digitally, no, I work do everything here.
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, I'm one of those people that when I finally got a laptop, I just always stood at my desk with the laptop, and I was like, "Oh, I can do this in the kitchen." Like I'm locked into this space. Like it's really rare for me to be somewhere else in the house or outside.
I have my iPad, so I bought my iPad a couple of years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in the hospital before I had my bypass, I was actually drawing on the iPad, but the architecture of the iPad makes everything extra difficult, right? Like where you store the files and all that stuff. So, I thought that I would do more drawing on the iPad, but I actually, I don't. I will work on my Wacom, and then I have, plenty of sketchbooks, and I just don't. I'm probably too old. If I started when I was 15 drawing on an iPad, it would just be like, woo, I wouldn't even think about it, but I think I'm old school, and I've 8 years I've had my Wacom, 8-9 years now had my Wacom, and it's definitely sped me up, but I can't say that I mean it's better on my aging eyes because I can blow something up big or whatever, but I don't think anything will ever, for me, nothing will replace paper. Just the simple thing of you taking a piece of paper and a pencil and you can just, and when I would see somebody like Ricardo or see Mobius or somebody draw, it's just them and the paper. There's not all this shit in between, you know? And I think if people can get to that point where it's just you and something to make a mark and something to make a mark on, away from any other mediation, I think it's different. It's a different experience. A different experience to draw on a sheet of paper than it is to draw on my Waco, which I work on, every day. But it is just a different, because you're like, look, first of all, you don't see the whole image at one time.
Right.
When you zoom it out far enough to see it, it's like, wow, it's really small, right? And we've talked about it before, the whole tactile, the real world, and the hundreds, if not thousands, of terrible drawings I have done in my life that have taught me something. The physical cost of doing a bad drawing teaches you in a way that a bad digital drawing costs you nothing. Physically costs you nothing because you just Command Z and you change it. I think that's just very, very different. I was looking at some Jack Kirby stuff the other day. I was looking at some older stuff, and you could see there was whole arm drawing in that before they changed the paper size. Whole arm drawing, and you can see that gesture in his drawings that was not there once they reduced the paper size. You look at the prime Marvel stuff before that, and then you look at the Marvel stuff in the DC stuff. I love the Demon and all that stuff. The drawing is different. The gesture is different just because of that whole, you have those big ass sheets of paper. That's a whole different experience drawing like that than drawing like this. Drawing very small. There's a physicality to the drawing that is not the same when you're working digitally. You can have thinking, you can have all that other stuff, but there was a physical aspect to the drawing on paper that is not there digitally. And when you work a really long time sitting in one spot like that, that's why everybody's getting carpal tunnel syndrome. It's very, like I said.
That's why you're getting carpal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. And if you don't do that, you don't even know the difference, the experience, the different physical experience of drawing, which I think is important.
Yeah. To add to that, Mike, I don't want to belabor. We have other questions to get to, but I was drawing everything with a mouse in my first comics in 1994, and starting in 1998, it's all drawn with a mouse. And then I got a gig in the early aughts where I knew, the original art was going to be valuable. So I was like, I'll go back to drawing with pen and paper. And I was like, I was not prepared. But had I not done that, I wouldn't have. But in that time, I worked my way up to another project I did called Bloop, with a ton of brush work and all this stuff. So I got more familiar and better with the brush, so that when the iPad finally came out, if I didn't have those pen skills and those brush skills, I couldn't do what I do on the iPad now. Those actual skills, no matter what tool you use in the future, if you have pen skills and brush skills and you work on those will translate to every device in the future, because all those future devices and current devices are just trying to be as good as a pen. They're all trying to be a brush. So anyway, just underscoring what you said, Mike.
That's really a great thing. Just thinking about how it's, you get asked this all the time. Do you work digitally? Do you work on paper? And when I'm in front of rooms of families, and I'll say things like, "I'm not even going to give you some lofty list of programs your kid needs. If it works, use it." That's kind of like erasing some of the magic pencil stuff. Like, there's no program that's going to make your kid a better cartoonist. Just sit down and draw. But even like your thick, thin, your deadline, however you draw, is just going to be enhanced when you're doing things digitally. You know, that you see a lot of deadline kids out there these days that like no line weight. All right, guys, let's keep it moving, guys. We're running out of road here, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. So this is kind of a this is hold on a second. Yo, it's good to see Tio Michael, Uncle Mike says, in keeping with Black History Month, who was the first African American cartoonist? Daily Strips animation. If I'm not mistaken, George Harriman, who did Crazy Cat and Ignatz Mouse, was the first African American cartoonist. And that's kind of disputed because he was passing for white while he was doing it.
Yeah.
Right. If people knew that he was a brother, he wouldn't have been doing that strip.
They would have hit him with a brick.
Literally, yeah. And also the first female African American cartoonist was Jackie Orms. Look at that, knowing stuff. And my good buddy Amani Latif has a really great thing on his Black Comics University site. I think that's the name of the URL, where he has these great lists on Black History Month. So you can get all those questions asked. What a great question. Thanks, Uncle Mike. All right, so now let's try Tristan. Tristan, this is a two-parter. So my 9-year-old has been quietly watching me for the past couple of years and has now proclaimed all he wants to do is be an animator. So question for you three cool dudes, aside from kindling, that what is one actionable as a parent? What should he be telling his kid at this point who wants to be an animator? And let's be kind. Let's be kind, Mike.
How old is this? How old is kid?
Is it 9?
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to be an animator, then you should study animation and you should know animators, right? Like you should, you can get the Disney Illusion of Life book, you can get the Preston Blair book animation, but you have to watch animation and watch how it's made, like in slow motion, like find pencil tests and see how people make things move, right? Right. Great. Another great book, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And when I wanted to be an animator or go into animation when I was a teenager, I bought a VCR and I recorded cartoons and I watched them frame by frame to study animation, right? And there's multiple programs you can buy now where you can, make something move, where you can animate. So understand animators and learn the principles of animation. There's plenty of things on YouTube where you can study how to make a ball bounce and squash and stretch and all that stuff. Know the animators, because animators are like actors. And so, Disney or in any studio, they cast animators based upon their skill or what they're good at. There's some people that are, good at animating water or fire or effects or mech or whatever. And there's others like the Disney animators who are really good at performance, but good at acting, right? And then there's also the difference between 2D and 3D. When I was teaching, almost everybody wanted to be a 2D animator, although really only on TV cartoons is there 2D. Everything in cinema is still 3D. So, if you want to be an animator, you probably you want to have 2D skills, but also 3D skills. So, but I would start there. I would start by studying animation, learning animators, because you can really tell, all the animators I know, they can go, oh, that's animated by that person. That's animated by that person. Right. You can even tell when you watch a cartoon, when one animator does a scene and another animator does another scene. I remember once when I first got to know Mimi, and we were watching Airbender, and I was saying, well, that's a different animator. She went, what? So yeah, that person that animated that is not the same person that animated that other thing. You can tell, right? Because there's some people that are really good at explosions, and there's other people that are good at face acting and more subtle stuff. So that's what I would say. You just feed them, let them, give them paper and pencils, or you can buy programs, you can watch stuff, but you learn animation by studying animations and animators because it's made by people.
I was going to say also get a pack of 3x5 cards and tape over the top with one half. Let them do flip books.
Yep. That's where I was going to go, or like a binder clip on the end of them. And
I think they sell flip books. Actually, I think you can buy flip books.
You can just buy them now. Right?
The cool thing about the cards, though, is it gives the kid the opportunity to go, I don't like that drawing. They can pull it out. But also just tons of pencils and encouragement. That's all I'd say. Paper, pencils, and encouragement, and and let them go nuts.
If you look at the end of the cartoon, that's a very important part to watch on the cartoon because it will say who the animators are. Right? So when I was a kid, I knew who animated all the Warner Brothers cartoons. And then I learned who the 9 Old Men were. Right? And so like if you watch, I was just watching the 4th episode of Primal. That's animated in France. So there's all these great all these great animators in France. So when you start studying animation and you learn the animator, then you can actually follow that animator and see other stuff that they have done.
That's some deep stuff right there. And I wish the best for your 9-year-old. Good luck. All right, let's keep it moving, you guys. So our good buddy Joe says, okay, my first question, and I know you have told us chatters before, what are you 3 currently using for printer scanners? I'm going to be shopping for something new. I'm laughing because we're so superstitious. If you have something that works, you're not letting it go until it's on life support.
Uh-huh.
Right? I have like a big all-in-one. What is this? It's a HP. I'm sorry. It's an HP OfficeJet 7612. It's like one of those things that takes up a whole counter. So it's a tabloid scanner. It's also a tabloid printer and also a facsimile machine. Steve Conley. And it just kind of like, it's probably the best printer I've ever had because it actually prints when you ask it to print.
I can tell you exactly what I have. I have an Epson Workforce Pro WF7820, which I bought in 2023 for $199.
Let's look at his receipt.
On my Amazon receipt, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. What about you, Steve?
I have one of those Brother MFC multifunction, I don't know, contraption. Yeah. I think C stands for contraption. It's got a tabloid size scanner associated with it. So that's all.
Yeah, mine does too.
Fancy.
It has 12 by 18, I think, is the size.
Yeah, it's a tabloid size, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bigger than 11 by 17, but also those things were so. You remember, like in the early aughts, when that was like the biggest jewel of information to know who's got the scanner. It was. I remember. What was it? The Epson. The Epson worked for it? No. What was that big mama cheeseburger?
I had a Mustech
3000.
Yeah, and 3000 was the price, and it was connected with a SCSI cable that was like a garden hose,
like a garden hose. Yeah, that was huge.
Shut out the SCSI cables. We're taking it back in time. That was before FireWire. SCSI.
Yeah,
I love it. That's almost as good as facsimile machine. Right? But yeah, it's one of those things. Like if you get it to work, one of our favorite tools is at some point your iOS or whatever you're using is going to stop reading your devices, and ViewScan has been like a lifesaver for us for 20 years almost. some random dude was just like, I'm gonna figure out a way for your scanner to speak to your software. And you just like I paid him like in what 2002. I gave him $50. I've been getting updates since then.
Right. Exactly.
The Swiss Army knife of software.
Yeah. So if your stuff don't work, try ViewScan, and I bet you it'll work. It's fantastic.
Before ViewScan, I think I was using Silverfish.
Silverfish.
Silverfish. I was using Silverfish on the Mustang because the OS. Well, they stopped making drivers.
Yeah.
And that's what. In fact, my main advice is when you're buying, you find a printer you like. Try to find information. What year did that printer start coming out? Did it start coming out in like 2019? That probably means that they're going to stop making it, and they're probably going to stop making drivers for it because nobody makes drivers long term, which means that you're going to have to be using ViewScan.
Or if your device has a thumb drive port, you can often scan even if you can't connect it to your current device, you can scan it to the thumb drive. And if your machine can accept a thumb drive, you're halfway there. So
pause. All right. Okay, so good. So that's that. We're almost done. I know we're trying to get out of here. Our good buddy Paul Pate. What up, Paul Pate? Paul Pate says, since all three of you are artists, I'd like to know, how do you like writing compared to drawing? Let me start with that. I've said on the show a couple of times is, doing these middle grade graphic novels. All of my comic book compatriots were just kind of ingrained into going, hey, how are the pages? Let me see your page. What's the page? How's your pages looking? What page are you on? And that kind of like belays all of the writing part that I have to do. There's nobody goes, hey, how's your script? No one has ever asked me how my script was doing. Right? I think that's just the cartoonist in us. But over the years, I have learned to really give writing its time. Because I think for a lot of us, writing, if you're a writer, artist, or whatever, however you do cartooning, is something you have to get through so you can draw the pages. You know what I'm saying? So I spend a lot more time like trying to nuance my writing, making sure everything is fitting, and also my editorial is really intense. So I spend more time in the writing part of my books than the art part. I wish it was different, but that's just kind of how the system is. It's really not set up to be like, hey guys, here's my script. Okay, great. See you in 6 months, draw it. You know what I mean? I have all my books have had 7, 8, 9, 10 revisions of the script. So it's just kind of part of the process that you got to give its due to. What about you guys?
I love writing. I love writing. I adore it. I like having characters say dumb things. I like saying dumb things in a new way. I like saying things in a surprising way. If it's not funny, I don't consider the page done. Every page has got to make me laugh. Either the drawing's got to laugh, or there's got to be a turn of phrase, or I've got to sneak in some exposition that the reader doesn't know that I'm sneaking in. It's pushing the plot forward. It's exposing character. It's propelling the reader to want to get to the next page. There's so many challenges in writing well. I love it. I mean, there's some lines I've written, I've made pins out of because they're just, to me, they remind me how silly the story is, like seething with joy. There are certain lines that they're in the story where I'm like, oh, that makes me happy. It's every bit as good as anything I've drawn. So I love that part as much as I love the drawing.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, I enjoy writing. I don't write the strips. I contribute ideas to Tony with on the Phantom, and occasionally have done that on Judge Parker. I do enjoy doing it. I mean, I have a couple graphic novels I've plotted out myself, so I do enjoy doing it. I probably would enjoy it more if, I think of stories all the time.
Right.
So, the mechanical of writing a script I usually can write the plot it out, and then I would go back. I'd probably draw it out, plot it out, draw it out, and then go back and dialogue that. Because I would want it to be more open. You know what I mean? Where if I was writing the fandom, I'd have to submit the story to King. And they would have to approve the story, which means that they would want a full script because they would want to be able to see, right, that I didn't put something in it that they would find, objectionable. So, but in general, if you're writing for Marvel and DC, especially Marvel, it was just, you have sort of a description of what happens. And then, you're basically writing it when you're drawing it, and then the writer goes back and dialogues it.
Right.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And we have one last question, and then we are leaving. We have one last question, and then we're going back to work. Beware of Toddler. Read it. George Gant wrote it and drew it. One of the shining new voices in the comic strip space. George asks or posits, you're in a public place drawing, and someone spots you and asks you, "You drew that?" I did it pretty well, right? You drew that? How do you respond, Mike Manley?
Go to sleep.
Grab a pillow.
That's a good question. That's a good answer. So, George Gant, we're about business here on Pencil to Pencil. If you put it in the chat, it's going to get put on the screen. So, but yeah, that happens all the time. And when I used to, be on public transportation a lot when I was a younger guy, or I had my sketchbook because I love having a sketchbook and like drawing people. You always run into a Eustace. You know the Eustace? Yo, I used to draw. Yo, let me get a slice of paper. I'm gonna draw Garfield right now. Watch. Ooh, I'm nice with it. Like there's always somebody that wants to show off when they see that you can draw. I haven't had as much. Did you draw that? But that is a common question that we get.
I would get that more with painting.
Yeah. You paint that?
I would be out, and I remember the first time I went out with my buddies painting. We went to Pentree Park, early April, and we were painting one of the Joker hideouts. I used to call them, like those old abandoned plants. And there were the one rule you will find when you're out in the city, especially painting in public: if there's a drunk within 5 miles, they will there's somebody painting. I need to go over and bother them. So there was these two drunks. In fact, I think it's still on my blog. So I'm painting, you're trying to concentrate, and the wind's blowing and everything. And oh yeah, look at it. What are you painting? What are you? Oh, you're painting. Oh, and then they go and they see my buddy Will, or they go see my buddy Dave, and they come back and go, "You're winning. You put all the windows in." And then they started arguing with each other. Leave the man alone. He's trying to paint. You shut up. I can ask him questions if I want to. So I found that it's not with cartooning, but if you go out with painting, because most people have never seen a painter other than, Bob Ross.
Right.
But them actually seeing you paint something, and then they can look at it, and then they can make a judgment on you. Oh, that looks real.
You took my line. That's my favorite line. Yo, that look real. Thanks. Yo, you see that bowl of fruit? Yo, that look just like the bowl of fruit. That look real. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you have to sort of learn to not try to concentrate on something that's very important if you've got somebody
You got people
jawing at you. But yeah, innumerable times going out and painting in public, people will come over. Sometimes they're very nice people. They might be really interested in painting. Or there was actually a local farm, not a local farm, it was a place that had a bridge down in Newtown Square, and we were along the creek and we were painting, and this guy comes out and he comes up and he starts talking to us, and it turns out that he was an architect who redesigned the new American galleries in the Met.
Wow.
And he actually knew my old teacher, Patrick Connors. So you never know who you'll bump into when you go out and you start painting. But yeah, most, and I think painting is probably more interesting to most average person than probably cartooning. It's colorful, you got your swish, with your brush.
I love it. Guys, that's it. I think we did it. I will say this was a pencils down. We did it. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with your 3 expert cartoonists. I love Ask the Cartoonist. This is such a aperitif in between our other episodes where we have guests. I love Ask the Cartoonist. I also love Shop Talk, which is just a little over for Ask the Cartoonist, where you got to hang out with us and just ask us some questions, and I think you've gotten great answers from us. Thank you so much. I've had this scrolling across the bottom of the screen. At this point, I would love to point at anybody in the chat and say that you are a subscriber to this channel at this point.
Are you subscribed? Are you?
I hazard a guess that a lot of you aren't. And I think you need to correct your action. There's a lot of we had a lot of really great love in the chat. Tristan said this is the best thing ever, and I think that's fantastic. You will help our algorithm. The rhythm. The rhythm's going to get you.
We're not angry. We're not angry. We're just disappointed.
As we're very disappointed. Please like these episodes. I love that you guys watch them. But you see the little thing with the thumb? Will you please just hit that? I would love before I die to get off of 2,000 subscribers on this channel that we've had for 7 years almost. Let's kind of pump those numbers up. Thank you. So guys, we're going to call it a night. Thank you, Asa. Appreciate that. We're going to start to say goodnight. A little more Jamar Nicholas Network programming that I will be back here tomorrow night. You know what that means? This is a coffee break with JN week. Dear John. Now you've heard my letter. I'm going. We're going to watch me drink a cup of coffee and run my mouth. And when that I'm out of coffee, the video is over. That happens tomorrow right here at this Bat Channel at 9 p.m. EST. Join us, why don't you? For my co-host and myself, thank you so much. Love you the most. Kyle Reese already told you what's going to happen with these robots, right? That's why you need a dog in the future. You hear the dog barking outside, that's a Schwarzenegger is coming for you.
You're going to be hanging on to the fence while the wind comes and blows you, turns you into a skeleton. It's turning to the skeleton time.
Yo, you got me. I would be remiss if we didn't go to that cold dark night without watching
our skeleton hands.
Skeleton hands.
Gripping skeleton hands.
Thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.